коммуникатор?
Пейджер. Двухсторонний. Последний писк.
Эй,
Что?
пейджер.
На.
Grunge is a good look for you.
Did you have a rough day, Agent Fury?
I'm gonna need clarification on this space invasion.
Skrulls are infiltrating your planet. They're shapeshifters.
Okay, prove you're not a Skrull.
That's a photon blast.
And?
A Skrull cannot do that.
I'm just supposed to take your word for that.
We are Kree. Strong, united. You have to let go of the past.
I don't remember my past.
Control it.
I have this power, but I don't know where it came from.
I've never seen anything like her.
You think you can find others?
She's just the beginning.
You've come a long way, but you're not as strong as you think.
What is this?
The SHIELD logo.
Does announcing your identity on clothing help with the covert part of your job?
Said the space soldier who was wearing a rubber suit.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. We got a bunch of new Captain Marvel footage to break down and more Super Bowl trailer news that I'll talk about at the end of the video. This mostly focusing on the comedy of winking at that Infinity War post-credit scene in Avengers Endgame because of the souped up Captain Marvel space pager. We're still doing the Amazon giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your favorite Nick Fury moment on the video. The way Sam Jackson has been doing press for this movie, you would think that it is solely a Nick Fury movie. He's been talking up his character quite a bit, so I'll explain what he said about Nick Fury with Captain Marvel during it. But even if you don't speak Russian, you could probably pick up on what's going on in these scenes. You see a different version of her at the phone booth trying to make a phone call, but you see finished special effects with all these special star charts. So it kind of seems like she's trying to call Star Force and Yon Rog to alert them about what's going on with the Kree and trying to stop their secret invasion on planet Earth. Because it seems like she's kind of on her own in most of these trailer shots where she's chasing down Skrulls on the Los Angeles train. Most of the beginning of the film seems like it's her with Star Force in outer space on a separate mission to try and take down Skrulls, so whatever they learn during these scenes is probably some special reason for her to go off by herself back to planet Earth to try and chase them down. Maybe they learn about the secret invasion and she goes to investigate. The weird thing though is that you would think that Yon Rog would not want her to go back to planet Earth because she might find out that the Kree have been lying to her this whole time and they've been trying to keep this up because she's so powerful and they want her as an asset in their war with the Skrulls. There's a couple funny scenes of them with the pager, with him fumbling with it and her just saying, "Give me the pager," so we can get going. You look at her costume and you can tell this is when they're inside that special SHIELD base where they've been looking at all the records. And if you can't tell, yes, this is the exact same pager as the souped up space pager in the Infinity War post-credit scene. It's just that it's just a regular Motorola pager that he's using for SHIELD government business during the course of the movie. So it just seems like it becomes a running gag through the film. Like he has one for SHIELD business, just like any normal special agent would. They keep whipping it out during different parts of the film throughout just to communicate first with SHIELD superiors like the secret Skrulls. Then once he finds out what's going on with that, he uses it to communicate with Carol Danvers to coordinate their plans for getting rid of all the Skrulls and the Kree when she gets wise to her true backstory. Then they probably don't upgrade it to the super spaced up pager that you see in the Infinity War post-credit scene until the end of the film, when I assume just based on what Kevin Feige is saying, where she goes back into Kree-Skrull space to continue policing that part of the universe to ensure that the Kree-Skrull war doesn't flare up again and threaten the rest of the universe, or Earth in particular. Then they have some funny reference where Nick Fury makes a one-liner about him contacting her if shit ever goes down on planet Earth in case we ever need you in dire circumstances. And it becomes one of those moments where everybody in the theater points at the screen Family Guy style like, he said the thing, he's talking about the pager from that post-credit scene in Infinity War. Samuel L. Jackson was doing a bunch of interviews recently talking about what his relationship is like with Carol Danvers through most of the film, and it's mostly middle-aged Nick Fury working threat assessment for S.H.I.E.L.D. because Earth isn't really at the point where they're assessing threats from outer space. Like when he says threat assessment, it's mostly post-Cold War stuff. So he's mostly focused on other nations like Russia, China, the Middle East, North Korea, any typical problem areas that the US would be worried about during that era in history. He himself has been long discharged from the military. His prime military years were mostly during the height of the Cold War with the Soviet Union. So that's sort of where his brain's at after the fall of the Soviet Union. He's sitting at a desk and he's kind of like a soldier without a purpose anymore, like military vets that spend their whole lives just going from tour of duty to tour of duty back to back. Then they're forced to completely reacclimate to civilian life. And it's almost like they've lost their identity until they find some new purpose in life. Like, I'm not a military person. What am I supposed to do with myself? So Nick Fury is at the end of his rope. He's super despondent. He doesn't feel like he fits in with this new modern shield. He's got this brand new baby agent called Coulson who's fresh out of the academy. He's not sure what to do with. When all of a sudden he's getting ready to retire early just because he can't deal with the boredom anymore, when Carol Danvers literally falls into his life through a blockbuster ceiling. So the early film is him getting the whole spiel from Carol Danvers about the Kree-Skrull War and their secret invasion. And he's like, wait a minute, you're telling me that you, a human-looking woman, are an alien warrior from another planet, and you're telling me that these bad guys, the Skrulls, they can shapeshift to look like anybody. I don't know how many F-bombs they're going to give him during a PG-13 movie, but you can see the points at which Samuel L. Jackson would be dropping F-bombs in a typical movie. But it's not so much that he doesn't believe her right away about all this Kree-Skrull stuff, because she clearly has powers, like she blasts the jukebox with her photon blast, so he hops on board the Captain Marvel train pretty quickly. But the real turn for him is inside, when they're looking at records here, and then later in the trailer, you see them looking at the body of the Skrull on the table there. Very clearly, they get into a fight and kill a Skrull that had previously looked like a human that he probably knew. So that's the moment where he completely believes her, like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a real thing. These Skrulls are really trying to infiltrate our government because I trusted this person. Like, I trusted the wrong person, then I lost my eye. In this scene, though, he still does have that other eye. He just has an ice pack above it. The problem with trying to figure out when he loses his eye, though, is the way Marvel lies in trailers. Just remember the Thor Ragnarok trailer in Thor's 2 eyes versus 1 eye. You see Thor on the Rainbow Bridge activating his full Thunder God powers, fully caffeinated Thor, and in all the trailers, he had 2 eyes. If you didn't see the behind the scenes for how they filmed those scenes, they just put dots around his eye, and when he lost it, they would just Photoshop it out later. So he would walk around on set with 2 eyes while they were filming all these. Probably how they did all the Nick Fury stuff too. Like, he always had 2 eyes walking around on set. It's just that, after he lost it, they put a bunch of dots around it and then removed it in Photoshop. Pretty safe odds that Nick Fury does not lose that eye in a big surprise attack when he trusts the wrong person till the big third act climax. That's usually when the biggest stuff during the movie happens, when we'll probably see Captain Marvel go full binary for the first time. Then you have like that big final act battle with her in outer space just destroying all those ships with her full powers. Samuel L. Jackson also put some of these other trailer moments into context too. Like, he says that while he's talking to Carol Danvers and she's giving him the whole spiel about the Kree-Skrull War and her backstory, he notices a lot of weird things about her that don't make sense. Like when they're on the special skip jumper here that looks like a prototype for the future Avengers Quinjets, and she just automatically knows how to fly it. He's like, hey, wait a minute, you're telling me you've never flown this before, but yet you know exactly how to fly it. Something clearly is not right here, so he senses that she's not telling him everything about her backstory, or she herself doesn't know it. So a moment like this, for instance, is before she fully remembers her backstory. We also got a different scene with what seems like Maria Rambeau in present day helping her remember things. So like, it has some context to this when she's looking at all these photos in this special house here. She probably tells her, hey, wait a minute, we used to be Air Force pilots together, and gives her all this backstory. There's also some blurry images that seem to imply that they will do a young version of Monica Rambeau as well. There's so many Easter eggs for her character, it just seems like they imply that eventually they intend on doing an adult version of her at some point, but of course they haven't said anything about that yet because the movie hasn't come out. But Maria Rambeau here, her call sign in the Air Force is Photon, and in the comics, Monica Rambeau, her daughter, takes the name Photon as her superhero name eventually. So there's so many things that they're winking at here, it doesn't seem like a coincidence that they're trying to set stuff up for future post-Avengers Endgame Phase 4 movies. My guess is if they do Monica Rambeau for real, it won't be to the Captain Marvel sequel, and that movie will be set during present day, obviously. But obviously the big stuff happening later this weekend is all the Super Bowl trailers. Brie Larson is going on Ellen Friday tomorrow. There could be more footage that they're dropping, or there could be some Super Bowl stuff. Disney bought a whole bunch of Super Bowl ads, so most likely trailers are Avengers Endgame, Captain Marvel, Toy Story 4, Frozen 2, and Aladdin. Obviously, I'll prioritize for any big Marvel trailers. Leave your requests in the comments below. There might be a Game of Thrones Season 8 trailer as well from HBO. Click here to learn about the new Batman movie and why Ben Affleck officially left the Batman role. And click here for my new Spider-Man Far From Home Sinister 6 trailer video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.